Good evening. Welcome to IntelliKea. I'm Dr. Rusty Barrier, and this is Dr.
Tricia Seymour. Thank you so much for coming, both those that are watching this later as well as those that are here in the audience. We appreciate it. Tonight's topic is on creating abundance, and it says everyone wants more money, but abundance appears in our lives in many ways. Learn to recognize abundance in all its forms and become a magnet for more abundance by eliminating the blocks, limiting beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. So that's the topic.
And if you're in the audience here tonight, you've already created abundance because you just got 2 free tickets to the Wellness Expo this weekend,
Hey,
which is a form of abundance.
Right.
And I think that's part of what, well, you want to do a little centering first, don't you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, go for it.
Go for it. Okay, let's just come together. You can uncross your feet or not, that's up to you. Let's just take a few slow, deep breaths. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And again. And out. And one more. In. And out. And just allow your thoughts to be present to what the topic is tonight, to here in the room, to the chair underneath you. Letting go of all the thoughts about work and family and busy and traffic and business. Just drop those thoughts. Just let them drop. We want you to be here now. Be present with the talk, with us, in this exact moment. Take one more slow, deep breath. And allow yourself to come fully present into the room as we go through the talk. And thanks again for showing up, for being here, and for watching it on video on YouTube. Hi.
Hi there.
All right. Abundance. What is abundance?
Well, that's a good question. Most of us, when we say the word abundance, are thinking about money, all right? But abundance is much, much more than that. We're going to cover a lot of different things tonight. One thing that I do want to state up front, though, is when you start working with abundance, it's about opening to all the ways that abundance appears in your life. Don't try and limit it to one very small area. It's everything.
Yeah, so you can have good health. That would be abundance of health. You could have lots of friends. That would be abundance of friends. You could have a nice place to live. Small, big, doesn't matter. That would be abundance. If you like animals, maybe you have some pets. That can be abundance. Abundance is about really seeing what you have first and foremost. And gratitude goes with that. Mm-hmm. Appreciating everything you have helps you be more abundant, right? You get the more you're given, the more you appreciate it, the more comes. Is kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. So, anything else about abundance?
Well, I really want all of you, as you go through tonight and then as you go out into your week, to start thinking of all the ways you're abundant. Mm-hmm. One of the things for me, when I was much younger and was just starting out in my career, I was living in Austin at the time and was grumbling because, you know, I had clients, I had a home, I had a car, didn't have a lot of money. Right? And an old friend of mine happened to show up one day and I was venting to her a little bit. And she looked at me and she said, "Rusty, you just told me that you're trading breath work for massage. You have your home, you have the money to cover it, you have this, you have that." She says, "Where are you lacking abundance?" And I went, okay, I've forgotten to broaden my vision. And that's a big part of this tonight. Later in life, I learned another lesson about abundance. I was sharing this with some of you earlier. But I learned I had at that point an abundance of bills. All right? Most of us go, great, I don't want that. But think about that. When there's something you have an abundance of and you're not sure you want that abundance, maybe you need to take a step back and look at what that actually represents. For me, what I realized is I needed to start thanking each bill I got and blessing it both as I received it and as I paid it and sent it out, simply because I had an abundance of trust. The people who I owed money to trusted me to pay it. The people I was renting a home from trusted me to pay the rent each month. They didn't ask me to pay the entire mortgage for the year. Right? All of those things. It opened my own eyes to all the different types of abundance around me.
Now, you don't want an abundance of bills, like even more, right? That's not what you're wanting.
You don't want more bills, but you might if you can continue to pay them. You don't want to be upside down.
You don't want to be upside down, right. So
Right.
be clear about that.
But even today, we have an abundance of bills.
Yeah.
Because we have the electric, we have the center, we have our home, we have all those different things, as most of you do have many things in your life. You just take them for granted a lot of times because they're just normal.
Right, and one of the things that Rusty taught me when we got together, which was kind of different, was literally that concept of thanking your bills. So when you write a check, a lot of people don't write checks anymore, you do it automatically. But when they pull the money out, you say, thank you. Thank you that I could afford it, thank you that I have it, and bless that to be an abundance and to continue giving you more abundance.
Mm-hmm. And what actually happened for us is once we begin doing that on a consistent basis, the bills still stay there, but the money to pay them kept growing. And part of that is because we now were paying attention to what the abundance level of the bills was, and we became more financially mature, so that if I'm thankful for this, I don't want to shortchange this because I want something, I'll be joking, because I want an ice cream cone over here, all right? But it does open the door. The more you're thankful for all forms of abundance, the more abundance arrives in the forms you actually want.
Well, and that's gratitude, and we've talked about gratitude before, but many of you have traveled or lived in other countries, and you know that here we have a lot of things we take for granted, right? We have air conditioning. A lot of people don't have air conditioning. We have a roof over our heads. A lot of people don't have a roof over their heads.
We have screens on the windows.
We have screens on the windows for bugs. We have, I know in the summer when it's really hot here in Dallas, I'm always very grateful to whoever it was that invented AC, right, and fans. And in the winter, I'm really grateful that we have heat, or a fireplace, or whatever. We have food on the table. Most of
During
you,
Snowmageddon, when we had no electricity, you were grateful for heavy-duty sleeping bags.
Yeah, I know, right? Most of you can run and get a hamburger if you want, and you have enough change in your pocket. Again, those things that we take for granted are not actually, it's important not to take them for granted, because a lot of people don't have that.
Right.
A lot of people can't afford the things that we can. And so we always, one of the downsides I'll say about the United States, and in most first world countries, but especially here, is because of capitalism, we have lots and lots and lots of commercials. And every commercial tells you you're not enough, and you need my product to make your life perfect, right? You need my detergent, you need my clothing brand, you need my whatever, shampoo, you need this particular perfume. And they tell us we need more. We idolize celebrities and we see all that they have, and we're like, oh, we need more. I want the same thing the Kardashians have, or I want that. And so it ends up being a negative loop and gets us to start thinking about all the things we don't have. And it's very important to have more abundance in your life, to focus on what you do have. So nothing wrong with capitalism whatsoever. That's a great system, it's what we have. But we gotta be more awake and alert and not fall prey to what we see and to the social norms of more. I'm not enough until I have. I'm not enough until I have. And so part of abundance is just gratitude.
It is.
It's just thanking the universe, God, source, whatever you want to do, yourself, patting yourself on the back for all that you've already accomplished, for all that you already have. And being grateful every single day when you wake up. Start your day with a list of things you're grateful for. End your day with a list of things you're grateful for that day. And then sometimes it's the same thing. Might be your family, might be your car, might be whatever, but literally be grateful and focus on what you have and what's working in your life. It is true that what we focus on, we get more of. So if we focus on all the negative things in our life, then it's going to appears as if there's more negative that comes in. So if you're always griping and complaining, then it's going to have the appearance, you're going to see more things to gripe and complain about.
You're literally, by either staying in a state of gratitude or a state of lack, there are mental states, you're literally programming your own mind what it wants to find and point out to you. Okay. If you're going to program your mind, do it for what you want, not what you don't want.
Right, definitely. So, one of the things that we want to be really clear about with everybody is that when we talk, we're talking on two different levels.
At least.
Okay? So, we understand oneness. We understand source. We understand love. We understand that this is not here, right? This really isn't. I'm really not here. This is just an avatar playing in a game. I understand that oneness is actually where everybody still is. We never left home. And it just is, we've fallen asleep. And that's the first place. And the second place is,
we're going to talk to you about how to play the game.
You're in the game.
And that's a lot of what tonight is. You know, yes, oneness is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's blissful, it's silent. The game, however, is noisy, it's active, it's got all these distractions and things.
And other avatars
Other avatars to interact with. And the truth is, with abundance, from the oneness perspective, you do not need to do anything to create abundance. Right. You don't. Abundance is a given. It is always there.
Source is everything.
In the game, what you have to do is get rid of your blocks to realizing the abundance is present.
And different things work on different levels.
They do.
So, I know you've heard this before, and I'm sure you've even probably gone to some talks on how to write goals, right? That goals are important, and that you write them down, and that a goal needs to be measurable and have a timeline, and you have this whole thing on, there's whole classes on how to write goals. And that works when you're on the lower levels of the game. So you can actually write a goal of, you know, how much money you're gonna make, or whatever, and or even what you're going to accomplish this year, you know, or your New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna write a book this year, whatever. You can have a goal. You can have exact dates that you want certain things done by, and you can have this whole thing. That works really well down here on the game.
In the lower levels of the game.
As you move up through the levels of the game, and again, up and down is not good or bad, it just is where you are, right? As you move up in the levels, you try to make goals and they don't work. They don't work. And you're like, well, crap, they worked 2 years ago, why aren't they working now? Maybe it's me, you know, maybe I don't really understand. Affirmations, in the metaphysical sense, are kind of like another level, because affirmations are goals on steroids. So affirmations, when you go to classes on affirmations, which I'm sure many of you have in the metaphysical community or spiritual community, they include visualizing it and seeing it so. And so again, those work great on another level, right? So I know that for myself, before I had the spiritual awakening and I was in the business world, I could set goals and go accomplish them and make them happen, and it all was perfect. I made lots of things happen in my practice. Things really went well. Then I also moved through and learned about affirmations, and affirmations are goals with more pieces to them, like, you know, they're vision boards. People make vision boards. That's kind of an affirmation kind of thing, where you're seeing it more, you're feeling it more, you're smelling it more, you're getting more senses involved. And so I made an affirmation that I wanted a red sports car. I wanted a convertible red sports car for less than $10,000.
Did you want an engine with it?
Yeah, and that's what people ask me. Did you want an engine with that? I'm like, yeah, I'd like an engine. I'd like it to be low miles and good condition. I'd like it, and I don't want to have to do any repairs. And people told me I couldn't get that. There's no way. But I had studied goals, obviously, but affirmations, and I'd visualized myself in the car and did all the things they tell you to do. And of course I had to go do something, right? So I went and looked for cars and looked and see what was available.
Well, you had to get out of your apartment
I
and
had to get out of my
look at a car
apartment and go
dealership?
look at a car dealership.
Ah,
But I didn't have to go to very many, and I didn't have to look very much, and it showed up. I mean, it was at a dealership, and I negotiated the price down below $10,000. It was in excellent condition. It was a little Mazda Miata convertible, beautiful little car.
which I'm 6'6", which was really funny to watch me get in and out of that car.
I had it before we met, and then when we met, it looked like two clowns getting out of a car, right? Because it's a teeny tiny little car.
They didn't notice you anymore.
No, they didn't. They're just like, how did you fold into that car? But anyway, I loved it. It was a great car, and I did affirmations, and I got my affirmations, and they worked beautifully. And I did it for lots of different things. That was just one example. And then one day, they didn't work anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean they don't work anymore? And I found that as you go up the levels of the game, different things work. And so if you've done goals, and now they're not working anymore, right? And you've tried affirmations and they just don't quite cut it. You can't get what you're affirming. You know, I've done my vision board for the right job or whatever, or the relationship, or I've really wanted it and I've focused on it and it's just not happening. Then you have to go, well, then there might be something different that you need. There's something beyond affirmations and the way you've been taught how to do them.
And while Tricia is, and always has been, a goal setter, an affirmation, bump, 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 let's move towards highly active and driven being, I am not. All right, I have always been one of those that, okay, here's what I want, let it go. If it shows up in the flow. But I tend to be more not in the flow than she is, that's not my statement, but I tend to live more in a flow state. I don't have that push to accomplish this goal or that goal. And part of that perhaps comes because for me, I learned that being an athlete, I can't control the other team. I can't even control the other players on my team. I can only do the best that I can do. So to set a goal, we're going to win the game tonight, was useless. It was out of my control. And that's the other thing that I really encourage you is once you have set a goal or set an affirmation or whatever, let it go. Let it go. Let the universe do what it needs to do. Don't limit it how it can show up or when it shows up.
And the other thing that I've always said is this or something better. Because if you want to say, you know, as you move up the levels, if I wanted to say I want this specific house or this specific car or this specific relationship and something else shows up that doesn't quite match it, I need to be open in the flow to say, oh, maybe this is something better that I couldn't have even imagined for myself. And allow it to not have to look like this little bitty picture that you've been carrying around, right? And one of the things, so when you're thinking about all of this abundance, be grateful. Think about how you have done it in the past. Is it still working? And if it's not, there is a good chance you're butting up against what we call transparent beliefs and issues that are getting in the way.
Right, and transparent beliefs are those things that are so ingrained in who you are that you don't even know that you don't even know they're operating. Okay? They're truly transparent. You don't see them. And part of stepping into true abundance is taking that step back and beginning to look at what is underneath all this that's really running my life. What did I learn as a child? Right, I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian home. We've covered that multiple times on these. All right, so what I was taught is that money is the root of all evil. Well, if money is the root of all evil, I don't really want evil, so why do I want money? All right, now I do know that I need money to survive, so all of a sudden you have what's known as conflict or cognitive dissonance between those two. Well, because the person that learned that money was the root of all evil was about this big, and didn't have any other way to counteract that it was a very solid belief for me. Once I brought it to the surface, which isn't an easy one for me because I literally heard the teaching, I could look at that and go, wait, money also allows people to do great good. Right? Look at all the things that all the philanthropists of the world have done. They could not do that without that abundance of cash flow.
Well, and also, and just talking about money in general, where that shows up is everybody who thinks the 1%ers are terrible, The 1%ers, that means the people that make the most money in the world, are the people who are the biggest philanthropists.
Now, that doesn't mean some of them aren't complete jerks.
No, I'm not talking about their personality, we're just talking about funding.
Right.
In order to fund colleges, universities, all around the globe, in order to start medical clinics in third world countries, someone with money has to step forward and do it, right? Yes, you need the volunteers and the people who work there and the people who want to help. But money in and of itself, if you have a belief that those with money are all bad or evil,
you're not going to want money.
You're not ever going to subconsciously attract money.
Right? Now, you may say, but I needed to survive, but because that belief is down here, and that's what's running your life, guess what? As it starts to come in, out it goes.
Right.
As fast or faster than you bring it in. So you need to take the time to dig a little. Look at the belief systems that are creating where you are in life right now. As you bring those up, and Tricia talked about affirmations already, and one of the reasons that affirmations either don't work or stop working for you is you are not on what I refer to as the growing edge of your affirmation, right? Growing edge, the concept of that comes from some friends of mine, Gail Straub and David Gershon. They used to have a class called the Empowerment Workshop. Fabulous class. And they said that the growing edge, if you think of a plant, right, and we can all usually visualize a plant of any kind, that teeny tiny little leaf that's just coming out for the first time to expose itself to the world is the growing edge. This leaf over here that's big and full and doing its thing with photosynthesis is no longer the growing edge. It's full and complete. Now you have to come up here to find that energy, that passion, that movement. So if you write an affirmation, and we'll use the old Saturday Night Live thing, I love myself. And you have a belief system that you're unworthy of love, or you've had experiences in your life that have shown you that someone didn't think you were worthy of love, you're going to be reacting from that. So you don't believe it. So you have to bring that affirmation back a step or two. And you have to say, maybe, I accept the possibility of being worthy of love, right? And that affirmation will begin to work for you because it's real for you. Tricia could have said, I want to go find a Maserati that's red for under $10,000. Wouldn't have had an engine. Wouldn't have had any tires.
I couldn't have found that.
Probably couldn't have found that. Because it's behind what she could do. Now, if she had every belief in the world that she could go out there and find that, I will tell you there's probably about a 95% chance it would have shown up, right?
So what we're saying is that those transparent beliefs are things that you've learned from childhood, things about yourself, about life, about the way life functions, about how other people are. Maybe other people are terrible, bad, awful, or maybe other people are great, or like with the money thing, maybe everybody else has money but our family's poor. Whatever it was you learned is now in your unconscious mind. You may or may not even remember. But our unconscious mind runs our life, not our conscious mind.
Yeah. Your conscious mind, you've all seen a picture of an iceberg, right? And there's this much of the iceberg above the surface of the water and this much of the iceberg below the water, right? That's your conscious and unconscious mind, right?
Your unconscious is below the water.
Was below the water. And it is the part that is driving your life.
Right, but it drives your life. So the first step really is, if there's something you want, like I love myself or lots of money, is to go and do some journaling or just some inner reflection or whatever it is that you like to do to see whether or not what did you learn about that? What did you learn about money in your family of origin? What did you learn about love in your family of origin? What did you learn about your self-worth or any of that? And that includes family of origin, as you mentioned, religion, friends, schools, all those kinds of places. And look at that and see if that's a belief you want to keep. and then do some journaling, some working, some inner, we talked last week on shadow walking, which is what this is.
This is still about the shadow.
It's still about clearing out things that are in there that you no longer serve you.
Shining the flashlight of your soul into all those little dark corners so you can see what's there and chase the cobwebs out.
Because once that, if you, again, money just is an easy one
It's
as
easy.
well. If you have that belief that everybody with money is crooked, terrible, bad, then you aren't going to get it. But if you can look at where that came from your childhood, oh, my parents told me that, my family said that, they believed that, or whatever it was, then you can, or my religion told me that, then you can look at, how do I now need to get rid of that? What do I need to do to move that belief on because it no longer serves me? Because now I want more financial abundance, or good, healthy, relationship, or a partner. You know, now I want that. What was I taught that might be standing in my way? What did I believe as a young child? And then there's lots of ways to move that type of stuff away. EFT, ETT, psychotherapy, all kinds of breath work, all kinds of modalities that we offer here at the center and that you can get at lots of different places that help you move through those beliefs once you've identified them.
But I want you to hear something. One of the things that is absolutely required in the creation of abundance is action. You cannot just sit there and hope that magically someone's going to come and go, boom, here's your money.
Here's your lottery
ticket. Here's your, here's everything you've ever dreamed of. And I'm sorry, honey, I know you think you gave me everything I ever dreamed of. You came close.
Yeah, you have to have action. That's another part. There's a movie out now, it's not new, but it's called Beyond the Secret. Remember the old movie on The Secret, where they were talking about the secret of life, and that was really about affirmations and how you see the world. Beyond the Secret basically are the same people, and they realized that people just were sitting at home making affirmations and doing nothing. And so Beyond the Secret is get off your butt and go do something.
Right.
You have to get out of your house. You have to go places to meet people.
You have to go to the car dealership to find the car.
You have to go to the car dealership to find the car. You have to go to the job. You have to go to the interview. You have to go on the date, whatever it is. But that you actually have to, there's action involved. It's not just a mental or emotional kind of thing.
The other part of that too is sometimes that action is involved taking a step that's lower than what you think you should be taking. All right? Again, I'll talk of my own experiences in life. I had just gotten out of grad school, and I was working at a weight loss clinic of all things, and it's the only job I could find at that point right out of grad school. And they had just offered me a promotion to be a regional manager of all their other trainers, and they'd offered me a very high salary for that, especially since we're now talking the 1980s, right? At the same time, the Center for Attitudinal Healing in Corpus Christi, my grandfather passed away. I went there for a grief support group. They knew me anyway from previous volunteering. And they looked at me and said, we need an executive director. I'm going, great, how much does that pay? They said $12,000 a year.
Eesh. I can't live
really?
on that.
Seriously. Right? 1980, that's still an livable wage. And I said, I can't do that. And they said, well, just think about it. And I went home and I sat and I realized that at that point I was living in the house on my grandfather's farm. It had no rent, had no real bills, and it was a job I really, really wanted. But then the other one's offering me a little over 4 times that amount. All right? And I'm going, okay, I have to trust. This, my heart says, go over here, take this step. So I did. 3 months later, I had grown the center enough that my salary got up to not quite 4 times, but 3 times and a little over what it originally was offered. I had generated that income for the center that they could afford that now. It was the best thing I had ever done in my life. Sometimes you have to take a step down to step up. All right? So don't let your ego mind get in the way of your abundance. It will. It will.
Yeah. And that means that sometimes it's a job, sometimes it's a relationship. You know, you might have an ideal person I want.
Yeah, I didn't really fit your list.
But you have to, yeah, but you have to go on the dates with people that might not be perfect because your list might be wrong, right?
Your ego might have written that list.
My ego read the list. Yeah, definitely. And so, and then you never know, because then you find somebody who's really perfect for you and it wasn't what was on your list at all. So, you know, you have to go with the flow. So now, this is the key. So pay attention. Here you're doing goals, then you learn about affirmations, a little more involved. Now we're talking about being in the flow and allowing things to just flow and go and be open to the shifts of the current. So you may still want to have a lot of money, and you have no idea why a particular job is put in front of you, and years later you realize, oh, that's why, right?
Kind of had that happen too, didn't we?
Yeah, so I took a job making a good amount of money, not a lot, just 2009, something like that. You know, making $60,000 with a PhD, which was lower than what I normally would have accepted, but the job was perfect. It was right. I took the job. I literally lasted 1 year, but I learned so much on that job. It was unbelievable. I took the skill sets that I learned from that job, brought them into our business because we had already started. He was running it at home while I was going to the job, an online education business. I took those skill sets that I learned for that 1 year on that job with, you know, average pay and for my education and my age, and we brought it into our own business and created a multi-million-dollar business out of it. I had no idea why I took the job, other than at that point we were starting a new business and one of us had to go to work and I was the one that was offered a job. I had no idea.
Exactly, you weren't going to stay at home with your mother.
I was at no idea that I was going to take the skill sets I learned there and use them to create a multi-million-dollar company.
Right.
No clue, but I listened to guidance and I followed the flow. And this is what was presented in front of me and I just said yes. And it's when you get farther up the game and your avatar's moving through the game of life, it's that easy. But you have to put your ego on the back burner.
You have to get out of your own way.
And get out of your own way and be okay with what's presented in front of you. So it might not be the ideal job, might not be the ideal partner, might not fit that affirmation list that you made or the perfect house or whatever it is, but you have to be in the flow, right? You have to get out of your own way. Every time we rented a lot, and we finally bought here in Dallas, but every time we looked at a new place or we were going to move someplace, we had to trust the process. What was being put in front of us, even if it didn't look like what we thought we deserved or what we thought we wanted, there was always a reason. And we didn't always see it until later, you know? And so as you move through the levels and as your avatar moves higher and higher in the game and you're more connected to source, you find that you're not really making it happen.
Right.
It's the difference between being in
you don't make the river flow downstream, you just flow
right,
along.
the rapids, right? So imagine that the source is the rapids and you're going down the river and there's rocks and there's dangers and you're in the boat and you're trying to make it go where it needs to go and, you know, make sure that you're okay. Instead of that, you jump in the river and you just allow the river to take you gently through and you get through all the rapids. Not an exact example, I know. People die when they get out of the boat in the rapids, but I'm trying to make a point. But you get into the water and you actually go with the flow rather than fighting against the flow.
Or trying to control the flow.
Right.
You go downstream, not up.
You're not trying to go upstream anymore, right? You go with the flow.
Unless you're a salmon.
You go with the flow, and then they die. So no, I'll go downstream.
They wear themselves out doing it.
I know they do. So it really is, and it's a very different way that things happen. The center was that. We literally weren't looking for a place.
Certainly not this big.
And not this big at all. And a person who knew a person introduced us to someone. We came, just what the heck, we'll go look. We looked at it. We said no, no, no. All of a sudden, we both listened to flow and said,
yes, yes, yes.
yes, yes, yes. I guess we're going to take
why,
it on.
why?
Right? We still don't know why, right?
We don't know the whole
This
picture
is
yet.
only 7 months now, I'm
8.
sure. And 8 months, but we don't see the whole picture, but we have to trust the process. So there's a lot of get out of your own way.
Mm-hmm. And
Trust the process.
I'll say this again, what I said in the beginning, is you live in absolute, complete, and total abundance
Right.
all the time, every moment of every day. You have abundance. Get out of your own way so you can accept it. Find the things that are blocking you from receiving the abundance that is literally all around you. And you'll find that it works beautifully and very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And a really good step to get started is be grateful for where you are and what you have every single day. Have gratitude for everything.
I literally start each morning before I go into meditation of just sitting down and going through a list of thank you for. Thank you, 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 thank you. And it's people, it's places, it's things, it's people who aren't alive, it's all sorts of stuff. It's just whatever arises for me to be thankful for in that moment. And what that does is then I go to my meditation, my mind is quiet, I'm not thinking about what I'm missing, what I need, what I've got to do. I am sitting there and I am just, life is wonderful. Right? Then I can drop into silence. Right?
And as we said, we're teaching on both levels. What does it look like from source? It's all abundant.
Mm-hmm.
And what does it look like since we're here in the game? What does it look like and how do you play the game better?
I see abundance, how do I get there?
Right?
Oh wait, let me take this out and this out and this out that I don't need, that no longer serves me. And we all have. Every single one of us, I don't care how advanced any of us are, we still have transparent beliefs that will play out and will get in our way and, pardon me, will bite us in the butt over and over again until we recognize them, bring them to the light, deal with them in whatever way we need to deal with it, and move forward.
Because they sabotage you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they're just, I wouldn't say they sabotage you. They're just the roadblock that you have to find.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, true. All right, I think we're done.
Okay.
So thank you very much.